With inflation creating a moving target of rising costs, how do you effectively aim for the future? Investment expert Dave Lynn and I share the first step in adjusting your sights, updating your reserve study so you are using current inflated numbers. We'll encourage you to keep two thoughts in mind. First, use long-term averages, not the temporary high values we're experiencing today, since proper reserve planning spans decades. And the second, you need to remember that investment returns should never be expected to offset inflation. The math just plain doesn't work out that way. A good reserve plan compensates for that natural shortfall. Watch this excerpt from our Investments in Inflation webinar and see for yourself. Thanks, Dave. Now it's time to kind of turn the corner and address a related issue, and that's inflation. We've been talking about interest, how much you're earning, the safety, the different vehicles that can be used, who helps you. But Dave, what are boards to do with inflation at this time, and how's that going to affect some of their decisions?
Well, from an investment point of view, it really can't affect their decisions. Certificates of deposit have had a net real rate of return of 0 or less over the last 20 years. It's only 2 of the last 20 years has the rate of return or the yield provided by a CD after taxes and inflation, has that return been positive. I can buy you a $100,000 2-year CD yielding 3.2% today. In 2 years from now, you'll get your $100,000 back and you get the 3.2% each year. But 2 years from now, that $100,000 has less purchasing power than it does today. So the only way I see to deal with inflation is on your end, Robert, where you would put in your inflation numbers there. And then the board would, in order to maintain a certain percent funding, you would raise the dues, the homeowner's dues, by whatever that inflation rate is. Because a year from now, everything's 4% more expensive, then your monthly contributions or annual contributions to reserve should increase by about that amount just to keep up with your percent funded.
Dave, let me stop you here. You said something just in passing. I believe a lot of the people joining us today have their funds in their local bank in a savings account and are getting a fraction of a percent of interest, whereas you're talking about 1, 2, 3% of rate of return when you're laddering CDs like this?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I come across clients or potential clients, and they have $300,000 earning 0.05% or 0.1%. And, our ladders, a 6-month CD starts off at around 2.9%. And then the CDs go out to about 3.4% for a 3-year CD. So I'm coming in and saying, number one, your funds are over the FDIC limit. So you're getting 0.01% on your funds and you're taking risk. And I got to be cautious how I say this to the boards, because I'm telling them I can make your funds safer and get you literally 30 times as much interest. Usually when someone tells you that they can make it safer and make you more money, you should show them the door. But in cases like this, it's true. It's by keeping things invested in CDs from, again, big banks and doing it properly, you can greatly increase your rate of return and reduce your risk. Again, reduce the risk, the most important part.
Yeah, I think it's one thing to be foolish. I think it's another thing to think that there is magic involved. And once you get out of the range of foolishness, then you can deal with some very solid concepts and that have nothing to do with magic. Kind of the solid concepts that we were talking about, Dave, I just want to reinforce this point, is that interest basically never has offset inflation. It's just the nature of the way things work. Inflation is higher. And from a reserve save point of view, inflation is going to work on the entire, let me say, roofing project, not just the dollars that you have in the bank. And that difference is an economic reality. And you just need to plan for that difference and let go of the thought or the expectation that the interest that you make is going to offset inflation, because that's just not going to happen. And when you think about what are the numbers on that, I want to show you some of the actual numbers on this. We broke down our clients, Association Reserve clients, into 4 categories. Preparing for this webinar: HOA, PUD types, big plan developments, townhomes, condo apartment style, condo high rises. So 4 categories. And we broke down what's the average reserves on deposit. And we'll start with the HOAs. Not a lot of cash on deposit in reserves. And so the difference, how much inflation right now with a 5% margin over interest, that's going to cost each homeowner about $60 a year, $57 a year. That's not really a lot. And so what I want to counsel our clients is that that's just a matter of planning your reserve funding over the course of the year to handle that, to acknowledge it. Don't be all bent out of shape that it's not keeping up. That is not an appropriate expectation. And for the larger types of associations where they have more common area assets, it may be a couple or $300 per year that inflation is eating away their investment. But again, that's something that's just part of the planning process with reserves, that you just create the funding plan so that it manages that. And again, inflation kind of right now is the bad guy. It's not the reserve provider. It's not your investment counselor. It's just a matter of dealing with the reality of this world that we're in at this point in time.
At Association Reserves, we make the present less stressful and the future more secure. If you want to join us in this mission, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see us address in a future video. Let's plan for your best future.